Well, in some breaking updates, Russia has announced an end of Crimea military drills. The troops are now leaving the border. So that's the big update that we're getting at this hour, where Russian troops are leaving Crimean border. This is a big update at this hour, where in the last few days, of course, we've seen growing tensions between Russia and Ukraine. There was an imminent threat of a war between Russia and Ukraine, where the Western countries, the countries across the world, expected Russia to annex, to invade the country of Ukraine. But now we're given to understand that the Russian troops are pulling back. They're leaving the Crimean border. And for more on this, let me go across to my colleague Srinjoy, who's joining me on the broadcast. Srinjoy, some more positive news. Yesterday, we did see Russian troops pull back from the border. Now it has announced that the troops are leaving Crimea as well.
Yes, Crimea is to the south of the Ukraine, and that used to be part of Ukraine, but then Russia took it over as it was part. It had a very, very old links with the Russian Soviet, and then before that, the Russian Empire. The point here is that the Russians have said that they have finished their military drills in the Crimea, and the troops are going back, probably trudging through the snow or moving back in their vehicles back towards wherever they were, to their barracks. Now that again is a positive moment, because it is a sign that there are fewer troops on the border of Ukraine. As you know, there are troops to the north of Ukraine, to the east of Ukraine, and to the south of Ukraine. And this point makes it very clear that these troops to the south of the Ukraine are moving back, so that at least one front is being cleared. And that is obviously a positive development. There has been a lot of hectic diplomacy in recent weeks. You know that Chancellor Scholz was in Moscow yesterday. You know that President Bolsonaro of Brazil, and Brazil is part of BRICS, the organization that includes India and China and South Africa as well, is also in Moscow at this point. So there is a lot happening, a lot of serious diplomacy, also tough talk. You heard President Biden saying that we will not move troops to Ukraine, but we will give every other support. So all this has been happening, and the Russians have made it very clear. They did not want to invade. That is something they have been saying again and again and again. So now they have moved out troops, more troops from the Crimean Peninsula. They had moved out 10,000 troops earlier yesterday, and now the Crimean border with Ukraine is being cleared. Today is the latest development. That's a right. Big moment, and perhaps that is a positive development as well.
Absolutely, a positive development indeed. Srinjoy, also, if you could throw some light on this Crimean border, because it is, that disputed land that has enough Russian ethnic groups as well as Ukraine, and it has always been a bone of contention for decades now.
Well, first of all, let's not forget that till 1991, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, all of them were one country. That included the 5 Central Asian states, also Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan. All of it was part of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union only began collapsing in 1991, after which there were separate countries. Now, then you had Russia, then you had the Ukraine. And Russia said that, well, the Crimea has always been historically a part of Russia. Lots and lots of Russians live there. It is also important for other reasons. Sebastopol was a very famous port, and the Russians took it because they felt that the Crimea was Russian. Now, at that point, the Ukrainians protested, but there was little else that could be done. Now, there were Russians there, Russian troops in the Crimean area. And now, as you know, that they have moved back.
That's right, Srinjoy. In fact, also, Also, let's talk about, we've seen in the last few days there was this imminent threat that Russia will invade Ukraine. But of course, now sort of that, positive development, Russian troop pullback is sort of giving some sense of hope to this imminent war where perhaps this war won't take place anymore. But if at all this had to happen, do you think that this is just beyond the invasive approach of Russia? Is it more than just the political dynamics at play? Does it go on to reach the economic and the social prospects as well?
Well, the most important thing here to note is that if the Russians did invade, what would they get out of it? That is the big point. And if they did invade, what kind of troubles will they have to face? Economic, social, all kinds of political troubles from other countries in the world. The Americans had taken a very strong line. Some of the Western countries had taken a strong line. There were other countries like the Germans, like the French, who tried their best to ensure that things got worked out. The Germans have very strong economic interests in Russia. There is a gas line which is particularly important for the Germans. So you had Scholz in Moscow. You had Macron, the French president, also in touch with Putin. Every effort was made to ensure that things got sorted out. Now we are getting more information that perhaps, yes, things are getting sorted out, and that's particularly important that this happens, because nobody wants invasion, nobody wants this level of violence and trouble, because it would have led to a lot of casualties, a lot of damage. But the Russians have never ever said they were going to invade. That point has also got to be taken. But at this point, it is important to note that, yes, Russian troops in the Crimea, very crack troops the Russians have. Some of their best soldiers would well have been on these borders.
Absolutely.
They are moving out.
That's right. You've made a very important point that right from day one, Russia has maintained their stand that they will not invade Ukraine and they will not take away the land. Thank you so much, Ranjoy, for sharing those inputs with us.